get going here. This is Dr. Kelsey, as you see today, about wedding traditions. So, good morning, or good day, or good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you may be joining me. Wedding Guy, by accident, I guess you could say, second generation clergy, was on the pulpit my entire growing up period. My PhDs in theology, and I have officiated thousands of couples. In weddings, there's a lot of tradition, but there's no rules. And so I wanted to do this little broadcast in regards to why do we have a veil or a white dress and all these kind of things. So that's what this is all about, this video. Traditional, usually. There are certain details of every southern wedding that are implemented into a ceremony simply because it's traditional. Not so common, but still it suits. I don't see that very often anymore. Groom's cakes, second line wedding parades. And for as long as I can remember in weddings, the bride always wore white to the ceremony, sealed the, from the first kiss, cut the cake over the groom at the reception, tossed the bouquet to a group of single ladies. And no matter how often we've witnessed it to be. So we're going to reflect on the interesting history of 16 of these celebrations, acknowledging that our ancestors had some pretty strange beliefs. So keep in mind as we go through this, mostly on superstitions. So here we go. Why do we we'll talk about? You ever wonder why we got bridesmaids? They wear matching clothes usually. Always done in a way to where the bride stood out. The bride dressed one way and the bridesmaids dressed another. Far from it. Originally, they did this to confuse and outsmart evil spirits of which woman in the group was getting married. As far as the bridesmaids' duties were concerned, starting back in while walking the bride to the groom's village, the bride would have to walk to wherever the groom lived for their reception. Protect her. This group of women were dressed in the same style as the bride, not differently as they are today, and they were expected. So there is why you have bridesmaids. It's not one maid of honor. The maid of honor may have the job of holding a ring and a bouquet and straightening the dress, if the dress has a train. But that's the tradition of having bridesmaids. So why do we have a wedding cake? It's common for the grooms to take a bite of bread at the wedding, crumbling the rest. Good luck if the groom would have some breadcrumbs, and he would crumble the bread over the bride's head for good luck. Then the guest would scramble around her feet to pick up the crumbs in order to absorb some of that good luck. So later, of course, the tradition evolved into the bride pushing pieces of her wedding cake through her ring piece of cake home to place under their pillows, or enjoy a slice or two at the wedding without picking up crumbs. Best men. We talked about the bridesmaids. What about the best men? Well, I guess you've heard the term runaway. Former duty was to make sure the bride didn't escape during the ceremony, that she didn't become a runaway bride. Sometimes she was even of the marriage. The best man was tasked with ensuring the groom was able to take her away regardless of how her father felt. So if the groom had asked the father, "May I have your daughter's hand in marriage?" and the father said, "No, sir," well, guess what? Best man's job was to snatch her away regardless. Oh, and the best man wasn't just picked because he was the groom's best friend or brother or father. The term best was added to the title because that person had to be the strongest and the most capable of the lot when it came to using a sword or a weapon to fight off enemies and rival. The job of remembering to bring the wedding rings was hard. That is came from. Well, why do we end up with a white wedding gown? Traditional color of virgin brides. But before the mid-1800s, brides actually Victoria married Prince Albert. Victoria went against the grain. She didn't wear red, she wore white lacy dress. And many brides today still covet classic white. Red occasionally, but mostly white wedding gowns. Well, something else you don't see is kind of drifting away a little bit, but we've all heard of it, and some people still practice something old, something borrowed, something new, something borrowed, something blue. And this dates back again to the Victorian age, where those old, new, borrowed, and blue items were procured to bring again good fortune. See all the superstition here? Evil spirits, good luck, cake, good luck, all this stuff is all to do with good fortune for the bride, especially when they were all worn together. When she came out to the ceremony, she needed all these items to be worn by her during. Whether it's something new signifying she was about to start her own new family and a new journey. Married couple, so that the couple's good fortune be passed on. Loyalty in the relationship, akin to the phrase, I'm sure you've heard, true blue. However, the part of the rhyme that most people leave off is a sixpence in my shoe. You don't coin for good luck. So we see all this superstition, all this good luck, reasons for the bouquet, and all the florals, all the groomsmen wear boutonnieres, and grandfathers would have a boutonniere, and then sometimes the mothers and grandmothers would have a flower of some sort. Well, ancient Greek brides would carry clusters of herbs and spices. Now, any bundle was thought to have magical powers. And not only that, running water quite like we do, we didn't have that we do to the hygiene was anyway, florals kind of have all this stuff. So there was not only a superstition of warding off evil spirits, the magical powers of these herbs and spices and practical point of the O. Okay. So, the bouquet. Why do we have a garter toss? You ever thought about that? Clearly, there's some superstition. Whichever single guy catches the garter is the one that's going to get married next, and whichever single lady catches the bouquet, same thing. So tossing a bouquet is kind of a standard tradition. I see that at most. It's pretty common around here, and it's probably the most kind of on Front Street, reminding everybody that you're single and we want to get you married. So a lot of the guests, you got to kind of get them pumped up. Hope they had a few drinks to get them out there to partake in this ritual. But in the past, couples didn't wait until the honeymoon to consummate their marriage. They would often do the deed right after saying "I do," which came as no surprise to their family. So she and the groom could go about their business of consummating their marriage, while all the single ladies fought for the groom had made things official. An eager guest waited outside. What I mean. So that is kind of why we do the garter bouquet toss thing. That combined also with the fact that right after a wedding ceremony, pieces of the bride's clothing that she wore, pieces of clothing from her, because having secured that piece from her attire was considered good luck. There's a lot of luck, superstition in all this wedding tradition that you're doing, and so don't say you're not superstitious. Alright, the veil. Another wonderful thing that, again, we don't see the veil as much, but occasionally we do see it. It's kind of drifting away into another world. So, also to preserve their modesty. In the early days in ancient Greece and Rome, the cultures, it was employed by her dad, the bride's dad, to trick the groom into marrying his daughter, who, well, wasn't that attractive, homely, at least marriages to the bride. Honeymoons. Why do we call it honeymoon? Why do we have a honeymoon? Well, in our times, we take trips to Hawaii or Aruba after the ceremony, and the couple passed when this whole wedding traditional thing started. The honeymoon was an escape, literally. The whole kidnapping thing, remember that? The bride debacle and the bride for about a month, so her tribe wouldn't know things. Then I stole your daughter. Throwing the rice, of course we do sparklers. Exited during the recession was pretty much things were used back then to shower the bride and groom with fortune and prosperity. Bubbles and sparklers used to say. We see now that with the wedding cake, and a lot of people now are using these cupcakes or donuts, and cake, the top layer of the cake is wedding food, and it's been a long time. The first wedding ever. But this top tier, this cake, was also tied to having a baby. Well, maybe you've heard the rhyme, first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes baby in a baby carriage. You know that many people assumed back in the olden days that the bride would have a baby within a year. The idea of saving the top of the half of the cake was so the newlyweds wouldn't have to buy a celebratory dessert to announce their pregnancy or birth of their first child within that year. So that was the purpose of saving that, and you probably maybe didn't know why that you pros is not very good. What about the wedding rings? That's a big part of the wedding. Anyway, tradition is the bride's ring symbolized ownership. But the groom doesn't get an engagement ring. This all has to do with I own. That's what the ring's about. And also in earlier Roman, Greek, and Jewish culture of the bride, the timeless tradition evolved with the advancement of women's rights as brides now ownership ring that was meant specifically for the bride. I own. Women's rights came along and women said, well, I own you too, so we're owning each other, and that's why we have these rings. Okay, so the reason that these bands were put on a specific vein that led straight to the you still do it because it's tradition, regardless of whether you know better or not. The father walking the bride down the aisle, unless, of course, the bride had to be stolen from her father. And the giving away of the bride representing the transfer of, is that word, daughter, I own her. I am here to show that you own her. You see all this ownership stuff? It's a wonder that women get so much into weddings at all based on where all this stuff comes from. Young women were used as collateral to settle debts or disagreements with neighboring tribes. Read the Old Testament. Today, though, many brides look forward to having their father walk them down the aisle simply to honor him. Forget tradition and where it came from, and get into the sentiment of today. Well, what's a big thing now is the first look. A lot of times, and it's, I would say the majority of times, for photography reasons, they're are seeing each other in their wedding attire on the day of the wedding prior to her walking down here to that day until she comes down the aisle. The concept of the bride, seeing the bride before the ceremony, it started with these each other before the big day. They'd have enough time to say, I don't like the way this girl or guy looks, and one of them will be left this until it's too late to run. So there we go. the father and giving my daughter to you. I'm giving ownership to you. Back then, they didn't have marriage licenses and marriage certificates. The family would sign, even though they do get the state-sponsored license as well. You can. Side note here that, gosh, we were brought up in my living in sin, and it's kind of funny because it's like Tim Horner legal. So anyway, another story, marriage license, that is way back in the day, for the priest to give a holy kiss of peace to the groom. Cultures in Greece and Rome, the men still kiss in greeting each other, and because he's passing this on. So it's customary for men to kiss in those cultures, and we don't see that in our Western culture. It's done to bless the marriage. Originally, at that point, the priest, after sodomizing this marriage with his word, kiss onto the bride. The kiss. I don't know. I'm not around this part of it to see, obviously, but in a house or. So the groom would actually pick a ladylike for the bride to show that she wanted to leave her father's home. So again, it was, the bride it would be a bold statement for the bride to just walk across this threshold by herself, because it would be saying, "Ooh, I'm glad to leave my father's home." So the groom would pick the bride up and force her over the threshold. And that's not too far removed from the African tradition of jumping the groom. Kind of sort of semi-related. And also, marriage were thought to be highly susceptible to evil spirits. So by carrying the bride over the threshold, the groom was said to be protecting her by putting some space between her dancing. So much of reception, who knows. So anyway, there is kind of a rundown on some of the traditions. I always tell my couples as they're planning their wedding, none of these things are required. You can wear any kind of dress, you can wear your soccer outfit, you can wear shorts, you can even go nude. Yes, there's nude. You can have a pizza or nothing at all. You don't have to wear a ring just because you're married. Again, today, you notice the bride only gets the engagement ring. I'm marking my territory. It's a Bentley thing. I own you. Think about those things. Do your wedding your way. Don't be afraid to step out of tradition. Step into the modern world. And, if you're a traditionalist, if that means something to you, fine. At any rate, there you go. Thank you for listening. My website is drkelseygraham.com or just kelseygraham.com. My YouTube channel is Dr. Kelsey Graham. Just search for me there. I got a bunch of videos and I'm still putting them out. And so there you go. Facebook, Dr. Kelsey Graham. I'm kind of everywhere. And I'm always putting out some content for you to enjoy. Some are weddings. Some are just stuff that you might enjoy, roadside attractions, different places that you can look at to inexpensively get married in the South, parks, zoos, nice little places. So enjoy, and thank you. Hit subscribe, like, share. That's important. It helps me out, and also I have putting out a lot of t-shirts and ball caps. Don't have much money, and I'm putting out this content for free. Nobody's paying me to do this. So if you can support in some way, I really appreciate it. Everything helps. Have a wonderful